So we're finally in a position now where we may well have the leadership that truly wants to make America healthy again. Everything that we have been pushing for, everything that we've hoped for over the last few years hinges on some of our leaders keeping their promises. And of course, we will hold them accountable. And from everything I've been hearing, I'm very optimistic that these people at the top do want genuine change. They want to reverse the abysmal situation with this country's health. I moved to this country many years ago. I am now a proud citizen of this country, a naturalized citizen. I want the United States to succeed. And I know that it's not going to succeed with so many adults and children in particular who are so sick. And I want everyone here, and I know many of you agree with what I'm saying, you want this country to become healthier, and from January, we'll have a chance to do that. But do not underestimate that we are in the absolute fight of our lives, because the entrenched power interests, those multi-billion-dollar industries, are not going to let go of their power, control, and their finances so easily. They are going to mount an enormous fight on multiple different fronts, and we have to be ready for that. And we have to stand firm, because at the end of the day, this is about the future of the country. It's about adults and children being healthy, and we all want that. So, who are these entrenched interests that are going to be pushing so hard to not make America healthy? Who are these interests that know when people become healthy, they don't need their products anymore? Let's talk about some of them. Number one by far is the pharmaceutical industry. This industry has grown into a monster. Am I saying that all medicines are bad? Of course, that's not what I'm saying. There are some good medicines out there. Of course, I prescribe many all the time. People come into hospital with a terrible illness, and we can reverse something like sepsis with great antibiotics. But it pains me to say, I truly believe in my core that the pharmaceutical industry has evolved into such a beast that is now doing more harm than good. I really mean that. Overall, the harms, when you look at overprescribing, when you look at how many people are what I call zombified, are greater than the benefits, and that's quite something. And every generation faces its terrible industry that has gained so much control. Throughout most of history, it was the war industry. At the end of the last century, it became big oil, and it's now the pharmaceutical industry. They practically own Washington, D.C. They're not going to untangle themselves so easily. They are by far the largest lobbying group of organizations, Big Pharma by so much. They own a huge amount of Congress. They funded a lot of congressional candidates' campaigns. Up until recently, 2/3 of Congress of both political persuasions were receiving money from Pharma. So with that amount of influence, do you think they're going to let go so easy? Do you think they're going to be okay with no direct-to-consumer advertising? Of course not. They are going to fight. They are a monumental, multi-billion-dollar beast that will do anything to shove their products in your face. So that is the first entity to think about here. Number two, big food. We don't think about this enough, but they are at a level of the pharmaceutical industry. Everybody has to eat. They make trillions of dollars. Think about this. 10 companies pretty much own everything that is supplied in terms of food to Americans. How is that a good situation? How about local farmers eating fresh, not this artificial nonsense garbage that has made our population so sick? Over 70% of all calorie intake now is from this ultra-processed garbage food produced by these handful of food corporations. They're raking in the money, and they employ scientists who make their food addictive. In fact, the scientists from the big tobacco companies all moved to the big food industry. Think about that. They want addictive food. And who's most at mercy of this? Children. How many of you here have seen this? Maybe your children are not unhealthy, but I guarantee you your children will have kids in their classes who have become very sick. I mean, we're at a situation now where 50% of teenagers have pre-diabetes. What on earth is happening to the country? And big food is the main reason why. We have to get back to basics. We cannot be consuming this ultra-processed, pro-inflammatory junk full of fake ingredients, sugars, seed oils, other additives. It's not natural for our bodies and never will be. We have to get back to eating real food. So big food is going to mount an enormous campaign. They don't want their trillions of dollars threatened. They want to keep feeding children their sugars and their dyes and everything else. So expect a big fight from them. And they're well-funded. They have their lobbyists, just like the pharmaceutical industry. Number 3, the insurance industry. The insurance industry is a very lucrative industry in the United States, also raking in billions of dollars. They don't want anything to shake the system up. Of course they don't. You would think that the insurance industry would have an incentive to not want the population to get sicker, but actually that's not the case. The way things are set up perversely is insurance companies actually do very well. And there will be many executives out there who don't want big changes. This is all about keeping the status quo. Next, we have the mainstream media, the atrocious media. How many of you are sick of the mainstream media and everything that they represent? The things that are shoved in front of us all the time, nonsensical, issues that don't matter, and they are blatantly biased. But the very sinister thing about the mainstream media in the United States is that they are fully funded by their corporations. Whatever their corporate masters say, they will do. And the pharmaceutical companies who fund a lot of the mainstream media, there is a school of thought which I actually agree with. It's not actually to push their products, but it's to buy their silence. Think about this. The mainstream media that's so well funded is not going to not want to push their products. Sickness is very profitable. They will launch an almighty assault against people who genuinely want the population to be healthy and free of their products with a great sense of well-being. That's not what the mainstream media wants. They want people sick, they want them inflamed, they want them obese, they want them stressed. Because guess what? If you're stressed, you're going to keep on clicking. Your mental health is going to go bad, and maybe, if they're lucky, they'll get you on their medicines, get you on their potions. That's how the system works. And finally, let's come back to the physician societies, because this is always the elephant in the room that we don't talk about. You would think that doctors would be invested in wanting people to be well and healthy. And am I saying that every doctor wants people to be sick? No. But doctors, because of the situation, the way the system is set up, the fact that so many of them are just overworked, they're heavily in debt, and they just subscribe to entering into a system of complete and utter nonsense, which makes no sense, where they're piling more and more medicines onto people, and the people just get sicker every single year. So, physician societies, which are funded mainly by big business interests, don't want the population to be well. Why would they? Because if people didn't have heart disease, if people didn't have diabetes, people were not getting sick, they wouldn't be making any money. So this is why we have to clamp down on this elephant in the room. Physician societies which set the guidelines, which keep their doctors on chains, must be reined in. But right now they're well funded, and they are going to keep on going with their mission, which is to make as much money as possible while everybody gets sicker. And it pains me to say that. I never thought when I was starting medical residency that I would be saying things like this, but I've seen firsthand the way that things work. Does this resonate with you? Yeah? Okay. So we have to be honest with what the profession has become. But we're here. You all wanted to hear me talk about really making the country healthier and how we go about doing that. It's not going to be easy. We want to be healthy ourselves. We want our families to be healthy. We want the people around us to be healthy. We want children to have a bright future. But make no mistake, from January, we are going to be facing an onslaught. Those of us who really want the country to be healthy. All of these different factions don't want the country to be healthy. And it will be, literally, the fight of our lives. But this is about so much more than us. This is about the future of the country.